Hey everybody, on this episode of JR's Cars, we're going to change the EGR valve on a GM 3400 engine. So stay tuned and I'll show you what it takes to change it out. Alright, so here we are. We have a GM 3400 engine and we're going to be replacing this EGR valve, right? And we're doing this today in my Pontiac Torrent. So the only tool that you're going to need is a 10mm ratchet. That's it. So let's get the new one off to the side there. First thing you have to do is you have to take this clip off of the EGR valve. Just put it off to the side. Second thing you need to do is you need to take this beauty cover off. All right, so this here, you want to take this, turn the cap, but then leave it on and twist it all the way to the left, and you'll see that whole assembly come out. And then what you want to do is you want to just take the cover and pull it up, and it comes right off. All right, so next thing you want to do is put this back in there just so no debris or anything gets inside the engine. And then you can take a little better look at the EGR valve here. You can see what we need to do. So this is the tube that feeds down into the exhaust manifold. So we have a 10mm bolt here, and then we have a 10mm bolt here, and a 10mm bolt here. So first thing to do is remove this one here. Take that bolt, and I usually always end up using this as a little pocket to keep my my bolt when I'm working on the car. So we'll just pull that straight out, and that's cleared away. So next thing we'll do is we'll loosen up these two bolts on the side here. And being that I have the bolts out now, that's all it is. EGR valve comes out, and that's all she wrote. This one here, you can see, has some discoloration over here, and this is, if you look at the top of your screen right now, I had a video yesterday which showed when I smoke test this here, I was seeing smoke coming out of the bottom of the EGR valve, and I would almost guarantee that this was part of the cause that I was having, that I was hearing a little bit of ticking, like an exhaust ticking noise. So being that that's out, we can get the new one in. Before we put the new one in though, I want to show you a little tip and trick here. When I first bought the car, and I can link you back to one of actually the original video that I have on this one here, what I had mentioned was that I had a P0401 code pop up. Now, a lot of people would misdiagnose that as needing an EGR valve, but what it really is, and what it was in my case now, is the EGR passages into the intake manifold. So what you have is you have your exhaust hose that goes into the EGR, you have your EGR, and then you have your tube, your passageway that goes from in here through here into the upper intake plenum. Now, what I found, I don't know if I can really get this on camera here. Maybe not. No, it doesn't look like it. What I had found was that passage in here going into the intake plenum was completely clogged. So what was happening was the EGR valve was functioning properly, but being that the passage was clogged, there was no exhaust gases that were getting into the intake plenum, which was causing the P0401 code. So basically what I did was I just took a metal coat hanger. Obviously I'd taken off the air intake accordion here, got in behind the throttle plate and started looking at this too. so I could clean out the passage from the other side and make sure that all the carbon deposits that I was pushing through were coming out. But basically that's all you would have to do, is you would go in here with the metal coat hanger and just basically ream out the inside and make sure that all the carbon deposits are out of it. You don't want that going into the engine, so you want to make sure that you clean that out really good. And then what I did was I sprayed a little brake clean in there, and then got it nice and clean, and I haven't had the code come back. And honestly, from what I'm seeing, it looks like it's been pretty clean since. So at this point, now we can put the new EGR valve in. All right, so another little tip that I like to do, even though this obviously comes with the gasket, I always like to take the gasket and just match it up to it, just to make sure that it looks like it's going to go in okay, not that there's any blockage or anything like that, or the gasket just wasn't the right shape. All right, so we'll take the bolts, we'll put the bolts in, and then we'll put it back on the engine. Okay, now that we have the EGR valve back on the engine here, we can take a look. One good thing to do is to just inspect this this hose from the manifold to the EGR valve. If it looks like it needs to be replaced, or if you have any questionable spots, it is a flex hose that's in here. These things do commonly, fail, and they'll start leaking too. I would replace it. I mean, honestly, they're about $15 if you get them from Rock Auto. So it's really not a big expense to get this hose to replace it. Mine's in good order. So basically, we're just going to put that back in there. We're going to put that bolt back in, tighten it back down, and then we'll put everything back together. All right, the hose is back on. So what we'll do, we'll pop this back out, because this needs to come out. That goes in between the beauty cover and the valve cover here. Okay, but this has to come out first. So I'll get the beauty cover back on there. I'll put this on. We'll tighten this back down, and then we'll have to plug that back in. Don't plug this in now because it has to go over the beauty cover. And then after that, we're done and we can test it. Alrighty, here we go. Here's the key. Obviously, the check engine light is still on because we have to clear the code. But it looks good. All right, so I hope this helped you guys out. And if it did, do me a favor. Hit that likes button. Consider subscribing to the channel because I have a lot more content coming to you. I hope everyone's staying safe out there, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.